When our district adopted Carnegie, it was a big mind shift change for us to figure out how we can take notes effectively using the Carnegie text. Our district is an avid district, and students taking notes is a priority in all content classes, and that includes math. So we had to do some brainstorming and figure out how we were going to utilize the textbook and turn that into notes without having students taking separate notes on another piece of paper. And one thing that we have really done as a district is begun to focus on the lessons and or activities as their own individual mini lessons that can be summarized afterwards. One thing that we do is we add an essential question that is the driving force of that lesson. That essential question is based off of the standard and the learning objective that is given at the beginning of the lesson. And those essential questions can be done either activity-based, group in a couple activities at once, or the entire lesson. And basically, at the end of the lesson, the student should have the knowledge to be able to answer that question in a solid paragraph form. And everything we do revolves around that question. One of the things that we look at is how can we take the students' notes and how can we use those margins. So a couple of the pages have the note sections, but all of the pages have a nice margin on either side that will allow us to take notes and allow us to add notes that will enhance what's in the text. For example, if we are talking about equations, maybe we know the steps that we need to take, but we need to be reminded of them. So we might add those notes to the text on the side. Or our equations have positive and negative integers in them, and now we need to remind ourselves of the rules when adding or subtracting positive and negative integers. So we will add those to the margins. So instead of asking kids to flip back multiple pages and find those notes, we are asking them to just recall that information once and add it to the notes. Also, it allows us to add vocabulary words or other just really important information that will help them to continue and have success throughout the lesson. Those notes that we add to the margins also help answer that essential question. And along the way, throughout the notes or throughout the lessons, we're adding other things like highlighting. So maybe we are highlighting where there is a paragraph that we need to read, and we're highlighting and pulling out important information from that paragraph, or adding to that paragraph and summarizing what we read on the side. Our school is a high ESOL school, so we really need to help students comprehend that reading. So once we read it, we might summarize in a couple words or sentences in the margins of what that paragraph told us, so that we will be able to understand the gist of it without having to reread it over and over and over again. The other thing about when you add notes to the sides of the text is that it will enhance what's there. The questions and that the work pages that the students do is great and has a lot of quality information in it, but oftentimes our kids need a little bit more, or they need to see where this came from. So reminding them of where and what we've already done by writing it down. We know that if we write it down, the kids will remember it again and again. So the more they can write it, the better we'll be, and the more they'll have when it comes time to refer back to those notes to complete the assignments, the test, or whatever task it is at hand. So really, the note-taking can look the same as a traditional notes that we are used to. It's just that what is already on the text is what would be the body of your notes. And then what you're adding would be the additional notes and bullet points that you would add to the body of the notes, but you're just adding them onto the margins. So there's no need to take what's there and create an entire notebook of notes. That is extra work that the students don't need to do, or that you don't need to do as the teacher. It allows everything to work together and build fluidity, and it will build a skill for the students as they move forward in how to use a textbook more effectively.